Hello, lovelies. This is the stream. How are you today? I think we all need to take a big deep breath before we begin anything else. That's better. I had a Scientologist for a father. And my dad didn't give me many things. Didn't give me anything at all, actually. He just gave me a lot of aggravation. The one thing he did give me, though, when I was a child at the age of 10, he gave me a ukulele. And he taught me 3 chords. Obviously, I haven't practiced that much because I'm awful at it. But I'm bound and determined to start an SPTV band with some of my sisters. So I went and bought myself a ukulele to, I don't know, maybe have some connection with my dad. I've been grieving. It's been rough. That's why I haven't done anything. Oh, here we go. See? It's always right here when your parents pass. So this week I went and I got myself a ukulele so I could cheer the hell up and think of him with kindness and with love. Because the only other thing I got out of him also was a Tomahawk bicycle. And after that, I never asked him for a goddamn thing because he told me that I manipulated it out of him. I was 10 years old and he asked me what I wanted for my birthday. So I told him, I want a chopper bike. Well, he didn't get me the chopper. He got me the one level down, a Tomahawk, which was fine. I was happy enough to get a Tomahawk. But after that, I knew never to ask for anything ever again because I would have looked on unkindly. Hi, Granny G. Hi, Kate Vanderkolm. Hi, Nitas. Hi, Never an SP. Yeah, that's a pretty weary sigh. It's been a rough week. I never got birthday cards from him. I never got Christmas cards from him. He never took me to a father-daughter dance, nothing like that. But I am going to learn once again how to play a ukulele and sing some songs to cheer me up. So yeah, when you have Scientology parents, my father lived by the belief that you can't be out exchange with anyone. Don't be out exchange with anyone. That means if I give you something, you must give me something back in return of equal value or equal effort. You can't be out exchange with anyone. So like when I was homeless, I couldn't ask my dad for help because he would say, no, go figure it out yourself. You're completely responsible for your own condition. Well, yeah, I totally get it, dude. But right now, I just need a little help because stuff's not great. So when you have a Scientology father, there's this barrier between you. It's awfully sad. Paralyzed to paralyzed. Hey. Hi, everyone. Nicole, thank you for being here. Karen, thank you for being here. So I'm going to read part 2 of these writings that my dad left behind for me because he wouldn't talk. I would ask him questions about things I wanted to know, where he was and what he was doing while he was in Scientology, and he wouldn't really answer me. He would just stare at me. So I read a couple of pages in part 1. Now, also, I'm his only child, and you think that if anyone would have mentioned what he did in his life, he would have mentioned, oh, and I had one daughter or I had a daughter. Never. He never mentioned me to anyone. No one knew he had a daughter. When I came here to Florida, they're like, oh, who are you? You look like Sam. I'm like, yeah, because we're freaking related. He's my dad. Well, I hope he knows better now. I'm so sorry for your pain. He knows better now and is likely regretting wasting the precious time he had with you. I hope so, because I hope he realizes that, because I really did love him, whether he knew it or not. I mean, I told him. He never told me back, though. But yeah, the life of a Sciento father, he had to do Scientology because he had to save the planet. He let my mom have a child so she would have a wee bit of havingness. So she would have something to keep her little mind busy, keep her mouth shut because she was complaining too much. He spent all day from 9 a.m. till 10 p.m. at the org doing Scientology because, oh my God, mankind needed him. And then after that, he went to work as a musician until 2 or 3 in the morning. So my mom never saw him. So yeah, she was complaining and he didn't like that. That's SP behavior. So my dad never answered any of my questions. I've had to learn about my father through watching Janice Gillum Grady's videos, reading everyone else's books. And they tell the stories. Like every now and then he would break and tell me something. Like when he was on ship and they would take it. They had Ron's car pulled up on chains and they were trying to unload it from the boat onto the dock, and it went in the water. My dad was there and he told me about that, and he goes, oh yeah, that was quite a bad day. So I hear stories that other people have told, and I'm like, oh, my dad was there. My dad was there. That's so okay. So that's what he was doing instead of being a father. But choices, we all make choices. So he left me his writings, which I have in this binder. Now, when you can tell that someone entered something in there on a different day, that the handwriting is different. Okay, so this is what he wrote about me. This is on the back of page 1. It's just one little paragraph there. Sorry, I know you can't really see that properly. This is what my dad wrote about me, his only child. Whether it was Scientology or whatever, my marriage ended in 1966. I was born in 65. I wonder why his marriage ended then. It was probably because of the crying baby that was Dev T, that wasn't letting him get shit done. It really broke my heart. My wife returned to England and I had no choice but to lose my 15-month-old baby girl, who had no idea what was going on, as I could not tear her from her mother. Sorry, little cough there, because I almost choked. That's what my dad wrote about me and my mom. And it's written in it. You can tell he wrote it on a different date, not while he was filling out the rest of this nonsense. No. Ah, bless his little Scottish socks. Bless his wee little thistle shoes. So let's continue with this story, because this is just, to me, it's absolutely hilarity in a bucket. So he goes on board the ship. He thinks it's, he really got into this tech. My dad really did believe in the tech, like really did believe in the tech. So it was doing something for him. So he just really wanted to do everything LRH said. And LRH was pretty much in charge at the time, talking to everyone that was in it. So everyone kind of knew him, a bit. Well, my dad pretty much seemed to. So he went on board, didn't like it because it was stinky and gross. And then he blew once, and then he came back with his wife, with his second wife, not my mom, with his second wife. This is after he got rid of us, because we were just Dev T. We were stopping him from his journey, saving the planet and saving mankind, which didn't do a good job, did he? He went back with his new wife because she was like extremely younger, much younger than my mom even. And my mom was 13 years younger than my dad. That's a whole gross story. That's a whole other thing for another day. Freaking ugh. Because they wanted their own married birthing. He didn't want to have to sleep with all these other people in a room. My dad was very hoity-toity, very fancy-prancy. He grew up in the bowels of Glasgow, but he fancied himself a right little Lord Fauntleroy. He did. He loved to be served. Oh, God, he was so... Well, my mom kind of did, too. I don't know if that was a generational thing, but they were really annoying with that. So he didn't like the boat being a mess. And then at this point, when he joined the ship in Copenhagen, and then they went down to Valencia, A lot of the people, because of some mess that had happened in Cyprus, in Corfu, I believe, a lot of Scientologists had left the boat and they'd gone back to whence they came from. So some people that were left on ship weren't actual practicing Scientologists, or they weren't, higher up like my dad. So he was totally annoyed. He just thought everyone on board was an absolute twat. A bunch of morons. He was very aggravated by that because he wanted that perfect utopia world, a world without insanity, without war, without crime. That's what my dad really wanted. I mean, who doesn't? But yeah, he had to pay a lot of money to believe those things, and he sure did. Because where's my freaking inheritance, Dad? This. So let's continue. He's on the boat in Spain. Oh, yeah, and this is also where we learned that the chief engineer of the engine room on a huge ship is 14 years old. He's a child. He's a child. They really have this. That's another video, too. We'll do another day about how Scientologists see children, because it's very aggravating and it's very confusing as a child. You're looking for boundaries and you're looking for, limits and guidance, and you're not getting any of that. You're just left, I don't know, feral. So, and here we are. So I shall continue reading from this book of bollocks here. Page 15. As the lifeboat was lowered, Ron and I were looking down. When the boat hit the water, it began to sink. Can you imagine that actually happening in an emergency? I couldn't believe my eyes. The bloody boat was full of holes. Ron shouted to Bill, Captain Bill, "Your lifeboat holds water very well." That was the start of a series of mishaps. The boiler was very temperamental. He spelt that so wrong. And would sometimes... The electrical switch to fire the boiler would not work. As I explained, before one opens a valve, sorry, there's old Scottish language in there. I have to think of how he spoke and his unclear writing here. It's all in cursive. Now I can write cursive. I understand cursive. As I explained before, open a valve and allow fuel to enter the firebox. Then you would hit the switch. He remembers this. He remembered this 60 years later. What? As I failed to make it work, I called on the acting chief to correct the problem. This was Herman the German, who was also on watch. "Come and see here." Oh, God. I even did the voice, didn't I? I did the accent. "Come and see here." See, I can hear my dad saying this. "I show you how to fire the boiler. I'd show you how to fire the boiler when this happens." Taking a long metal rod, he wrapped a cloth around the end and dipped it in oil. He then lit the rag on the end of the rod, opened the valve to let fuel flow in. There is a protection plate a few feet from the boiler to protect one as you enter the rod. As I had already sent ignition fuel, Herman, by lifting a double dose to be lit and not putting himself behind the protection, there was a bang that blew Herman on his ass when he should have been behind the shield. Ron, being just above us on the companionway, shouted, "What was that?" I answered, "We just had a blowback from the boiler." Ron answered, "You could lose your hair with that." I shouted back to Ron, "Herman just lost his full beard." So see, Ron had a sense of humor. A bit of a joker and a grader, perhaps. So things were going along okay. Ron was visiting all departments and making everyone happy. See, I guess as long as Ron went around, everyone's Lord and Savior, speaking to everyone and being involved in every little org and stuff, everyone was just kept very happy that the big guy really had a lot to do with everything. We had two watches, A and B. Our watch was A, and I was the helmsman on my watch. Oh, helmsman. That's a hard word for me to say. I don't have lips. The helmsman on the B watch was Eric Magnuson. Anyone know who that is? He was number one at the wheel and responsible when a pilot came aboard for moving or leaving the dock. Shirley's job when we were at sea was radar. Oh, Shirley was his wife, his second wife. She was radar, like in MASH. No, he was too cute. She wasn't cute. She was not cute. You know, like what we call a Karen nowadays. That was Shirley. Okay, so Shirley's job when we were at sea was radar. Poor gal. With the bouncing around, she had head inside a dark scope. This was an old system that caused her to feel queasy when it was rough. All of a sudden, we had another dilemma to contend with, a female named Hannah Eltringham, who appeared to be acting captain. Yes, she was. I've been trying to get a hold of Hannah, too. I sent her a Facebook message, but I don't know if she even reads her messenger on maybe that account. I don't know. If I have my facts right, she came from the other Scientology ship, the Avon River. Well, this gal was a nasty piece of work. She earned names like Tugboat Annie or Female Captain Bligh. At least being in the engine room, we were out of the reach of her claws. Jeez, Dad. But that luck was not long before we had a run-in. We had a problem in the engine room that lasted 3 days without much in the way of sleep. Ron was with us most of the time, and eventually the worst was over. And on the third day, we were just waiting for new parts to arrive. When Ron was leaving, he said, "I'll be back down as soon as the parts arrive." My wife appeared with coffee and sandwiches, of course. Just as Shirley left, in walked the lady, I'm not going to say that, what he said, the lady from hell with one of her aides. Without asking what was going on, she turned to Flunky and announced, "Throw these fuckers in liability." I'm sorry, I love that. Hannah Whittingham. This lady in the 60s in charge. She's captain of a boat. I love it. She walks into an engine room. Put these fuckers in liability. This is why I want to talk to her. I love her vibe. Oh, as astounded at this crap was, we couldn't believe this was happening. Or what, they couldn't believe a woman was talking to them that way. My foot was jerking so bad to kick her ass out of the engine room, but understanding there would be another ending to this that would concern Ron. Miss McNasty, he's Scottish, I guess that's what you call people you don't like, Miss McNasty. Miss McNasty now ordered her flunky to display the condition by tying white rags to our left arm. The rag was to stay on your arm to let everyone aboard know we're bad guys, subject to loss of privileges. Soon after she left, the parts arrived. Then Ron walked in. He had a stunned look when he saw the lads wearing the badge of liability. "What's going on? Is this a joke?" "No," I replied. "Your acting captain came down here with one of her flunkies and announced, 'Throw these fuckers in liability.'" And he wrote that out again. Ron grabbed the rags and pulled them off, and we knew that was not going to end there. We prayed that he crossed out a bunch of words here. We prayed that he would kick her ass around the deck or throw her over to the side. See? They really did like overboarding people, and that's awful. That's horrible, and it's dangerous, and it's filthy. Because usually where they overboarded you was when you were tied to the dock, and there's just oil and garbage and trash and leftover excrement from, yeah, it's not great. I'm so glad he never threw me off the side of the balcony. We prayed that he would kick her ass around the deck or throw her over to the side. The next page is a copy of Ron's appreciation, and we're all upgraded to officer status. Oh, yeah, that's this thing. That my dad, no pictures of me in frames or anything, but he has this in a frame. No pictures of me or his granddaughter. Why? LRH. Those letters are on the bottom of this. I want that on the wall. It pleased him, I'm guessing. I have to take a breath because it's really aggravating. Hi, Balake. Jenwell, Fuzzy Pink Handcuffs, Susan P. said, hey, everyone. Thank you for being here. Nancy Drew, Sandy McKenna. Hey. Oh, Sandy, yeah, we got to go soon. Let me know whenever you're ready, because I'm ready to go. Let's do it. Okay, I needed a little breather there because... I noticed she never apologized to us. Now, my dad didn't apologize ever to anyone, and he always said, make sure you never apologize to anyone for anything. I noticed she never apologized to us. See, because it's a woman. He's so misogynistic. There's a lot of misogyny that goes on. I don't know if it's changed now. I don't know if it's different. But, of course, this was like the 60s. So my dad was just a raging misogynist. I noticed she never apologized to us. Ooh, her is Fifi's. I hope the hairs on her ass turn to drumsticks, rise and batter her fucking brains out. I took a breath already. I need another one. That's not nice. Now, my dad, he was a drummer. And he used to say this a lot about certain people, usually women. And it made me want to bite him. Okay. I'm going to read it again. Just so you guys... I hope the hairs on her arse turn to drumsticks, rise and batter her fucking brains out. That's pretty much how he would have said it. And that's how he said it. And whenever he said that, I walked away from him. Sometimes he would say that in the middle of Publix to someone. About someone. Oh, okay. So that's like a term of endearment from my dad, saying something like that. So he didn't like Hannah Eltringham. And if you guys know anything about Hannah Eltringham, she's done a lot of videos. She's spoken out. If you old-timies have followed her, Hannah Whittingham or Hannah Eltringham, I believe. Was it Whittingham? Or am I getting someone else's name confused there? But you can find lots of YouTube videos that Hannah's done. That's how I learned partly about what my dad was doing when he was faffing around with her on the boat. So, yeah, go look her up. Go check her out. She's got some stuff. It's old-timey stuff. I don't know if you guys are interested in the old-timey stuff like I am because, you know, my dad was the first generation. The next page is a copy of the orders. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I just showed you. Yeah, he's so proud of that. Like I said, no pictures of me and my daughter, but he's got a freaking copy of LRH's orders up on the wall. So much nicer than we got from the bitch from hell. Oh, God. Oh, look, and he's put another copy of it in here, you know, just in case. So if anyone recognizes these names, Mark Sabine or Sabine, I don't know how he says it. I used to work with a gentleman. His name was it Mark? It wasn't Mark, but he was Sabine, not Sabine. But I don't know how you say that. And I believe he was the 14-year-old chief engineer. Bob Scheckler. Carl Rosenkrantz, Jeff Walker, Malcolm Neiman, my dad, Sam Fullerton, I know who he is, Bert Russo, Bob Pryor, and Jerry McClarty. Now, I think I heard the name Jerry McClarty recently, and I think someone mentioned he's absolutely, I don't know, but I'm going to, before I say anything else, I'm just going to have to go check that out. I haven't looked up these names. I just wondered if anyone ever heard of them. Things were becoming a little more organized. Shore leave was nice to get off the ship for a while. Shirley and I would hang on to a few bucks from our $12 They only used to get paid $12, you guys. Or did they only get paid $6 each and they had $12 together? Oh, maybe they only got paid $6 each? Ew. I would hang on to a few bucks from our $12, especially when tying up in Casablanca. We would head for a nice restaurant and splurge on a good meal. The locals done wonders with lamb and was so good. That's very English sounding. The locals did wonders with lamb and was so good. Having dinner one night, we had a discussion regarding the clearing course. Oh, so far we were still short of trained auditors and had no idea if that would improve. So I put it to Shirley, what if I asked Ron to allow us to take leave, go home, return to our jobs and pay for the courses ourselves? Yeah, like, weren't you doing that already? Oh, he wanted to get off the ship, I see. Actually, the courses were really cheap then. I'm glad he put that in, because apparently they were still a couple of $100, which in the 60s was very expensive, because my mom always complained he spent all their money on Scientology. She didn't have any money to even buy a pair of tights. And, you know, back then women just wore tights. Ugh, I'm so glad in my lifetime those things died off. Jesus. Now we got leggings. So the courses apparently were really cheap back then. OT1 was $75. Compare that to today. Yeah, my dad didn't like what the new price list Miscavige had come up with. I celebrated with a couple of beers with dinner. You were allowed to imbibe as long as you were not on auditing lines. We decided to wait until the next visit to Casablanca, where I would approach Ron and hope for the best. The reason I preferred that part was adjacent to the airport. Oh, the reason I preferred that port, it was adjacent to the airport so they could get home. As I mentioned at the beginning of the book, the 4 grades that took, that other book. The 4 grades that took a year cost $375 total. What I saw on TV, what? This morning, the grades. Oh, if what I saw on TV this morning. Okay, so see, my dad would always turn on the Scientology channel. I don't know if they mention how much their stuff costs, though, but he goes, he must have learned this from TV. Someone must have been talking on TV, because the Scientology channel doesn't talk about prices ever. If what I saw on TV this morning, the grades cost $10,000 each. This is unbelievable. Well, it's a lot more than that now, Dad. As you know, I started with the grades, then kept going up the bridge. No, I don't know. Now I know. I didn't know that, Dad. So apparently, my dad started with the grades, then kept going up the bridge. There was a different format then. After OT3, you then done OT7. Well, that's the same, isn't it? After OT3, you do OT7. After OT7, it was OT3 expanded. The only grade I received from Ron was free. Oh, he got that one free from Ron, did he? Which one, OT3 or OT7? I know I remember him telling me that. Yeah, Ron gave me one for free. Ron just fucking upgraded me. I'm like, oh, check you out, Mr. Clear. Can't even clear your throat, but clear about everything else, right? Ooh, so he got OT3 or OT7 for free from Ron. Isn't that nice? With all in all, up the bridge, I did not spend $1,000. Oh, that's not right. Now, Mum mentioned you two spent all the money. Yes, something is goofy. He used the word goofy. I wonder if he was channeling William Good when he was writing this. Yes, something is goofy. Yeah, see, my dad never liked David Miscavige. Never did. Because, number one, he squirreled the tech by changing commas and things and just having to re-release everything and telling everyone they had to redo everything. My dad's like, hell no, I'm not paying for that again. I'm not doing any of that. I did it the first time. And see, my dad did it with Ron. He did a lot of his stuff up the bridge with Ron. Ron was around. So my dad felt really attached emotionally to this tech because of Ron, because Ron was around and he was friends with him. I think back to a conversation I had one day. We used to meet on the starboard side and chat. You know, Ron. Oh, wait. No. You know, Ron, I said. He doesn't, it's not written properly. I gotta try and figure this out from the way he spoke. You know, Ron, I said one day, you won't always be around, and I would not be surprised that the wise guys will take advantage, more interested in the money that was more important. That was more important to them than the philosophy. Ron's answer was, they have to realize that they also have a case. Hey, little Davy, apparently you got a case. Well, we knew that. Well, no, he doesn't, because it's all nonsense. So no, he doesn't have a case. He's just a horrible little man. Boy, did I call that situation. See, my dad believes he knew everything and he could read everyone's minds and he knew what was coming. So kind of he believes that he put this into effect. He just knew it was coming. Wow. You know, Ron, I said one day, you won't always be around, and I would not be surprised that the wise guys will take advantage, more interested in the money that was more important to them than the philosophy. Ron's answer was, they have to realize that they also have a case. Boy, did I call that situation. Later on, I will enter documents that will center on this subject. Well, you didn't, eh? You didn't do that. When one is upgraded to officer status, it is mandatory for him to study the finance pack. These documents show where the money was and their purpose to be used in the future. Oh, I remember hearing about this. It's like everyone was kept abreast of what was in the checking account. Do you know what I mean? Everyone knew if you had standing with Ron and stuff on that ship. Everyone knew. Oh, okay. Just in case, right? When was it going to... These documents show where the money was and their purpose to be used in the future. At that time, most of the money was detailed to be for buying buildings and a new ship. Finance company were mostly in Kent, England, and very solvent. Aha. Talking about costs of auditing in the 60s, an example I had when Ron introduced the SP suppressive person rundown from recall. If you did not receive the end result, you did not have to pay. Oh. I signed up for the SP rundown and started on the auditing session. Unfortunately, I was not a happy camper, stated my disappointment, and left without paying. Really? He found something non-agreeable in Scientology tech. All right. And this is just when LRH was coming up with the bridge with the tech. Okie dokie, boy. A few days later, I paid a visit to the org and had a conversation with my friend John Gillespie, who had been trained on this process. John knew about my situation and offered to help. In those days, in being involved in a review at expense. In those days, in being involved in a review at expense, it still is. I mean, even if you get in trouble, you have to pay for your SEC checking. John was an auditor and just suggested giving help. We then went into a room. John put up the meter and away we went. In less than 10 minutes, the problem was resolved. See, you just got to be a good grifter. You just got to know the right thing to say to the right person who is in a particular vulnerable state. And ding, 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 it works. Now we have euphoria. We have dopamine flooding everything. We are so happy. We got an end phenomena. What is it now? In 4 or 5 hours, that's all going to disappear. But you'll still mentally think, oh, that was so worth it. So in less than 10 minutes, the problem was resolved. What had happened was, sound like Natalie. What had happened was the first auditor had taken the item off the list, which created the problem. Having reached the desired end result, I immediately wrote a check for $125, the total cost. That's all it costs, really, to do the SP rundown? $125? He could have bought me the chopper. He didn't have to buy me the tomahawk. I could have gotten the chopper. Anyway, I digress. Once again, you can see the difference one would pay compared to what the church demanded paying. It was now money motivated rather than a philosophical study. See, my dad really did believe it was helping people and helping the world. He really did believe this. He really, really did. Like, I can't tell you guys like how into it he was still till the day he passed. Shirley and I then discussed it was time to approach Ron with a request to leave so that we could go back to our jobs and reach for the clearing course. Ever since the something I experienced from grade 5, all I could think of was to get the clearing course. See, and once they get you hooked, oh, you really need this because once you get that, you'll be flying. You'll be such a big being. And they're like, yeah, I really got to get there. Ron and I met on the deck where we usually had our chats. When I brought up the subject of my asking for leave so that we could accomplish my goal, I was surprised there was no attempt to alter the plan. Ron just looked at me and answered, "That sounds good to me." LRH trusted my dad. See, this is where I can't trust either of them at all. That sounds good to me. Well, my dad was very dedicated. So Ron obviously knew that. He was totally just in love, adoration of L. Ron Hubbard. So I'm guessing Ron, oh, this is part of my plan. This man is going to further along my religion and tax exempt shit. That sounds good to me, but will you come back? I assured him I would keep my word and return. Oh, he kept his word to someone then, did he? That's nice, Dad. One thing about Ron, when he knew you were serious and honest, he would be on your side and never deny such a request. Oh, see? They had affinity. They had the arc thing going. As Shirley and I had agreed, Casablanca would be the place to take off, being close to the airport. The big day arrived and we left as arranged. We got on a bus and headed for the airport. We boarded the plane and were first settling down when one of the male stewards shouted, "Hey, Sam!" I was amazed that it was a steward from the last liner I played on as a musician. Oh, they got on a boat. See, my dad was a musician and he used to play on the Mauritania. He was a drummer, so he just traveled the world on ship liners, cruise ships, drinking, and he was a philanderer. So that's what he did before he married my mom and then joined Scientology. Okay, so here we go. I was amazed that it was a steward from the last liner I played on as a musician, the Mauritania. There we go, the Mauritania. He always talked about the Mauritania. Asked my daughter, "Hey, what do you know about your grandpa?" "Oh, that he used to play on the Mauritania." That's about all we know about him, seriously. In 1961. Well, that friend treated us to a pleasant, flight. It wasn't a boat, it was a flight. That friend treated us to a pleasant flight with all the goodies he fostered on us. As a matter of fact, it was 7 years since we were shipmates. We arrived in London, then to Victoria Station. Oh, I love Victoria Station. And got the train to Portsmouth. Yeah, that's how you get to Portsmouth. That's how I used to go see my nana every year, my auntie and my cousins and the rest of them, where we spent a week with my sister. Was that that was the wait. No, that was later. Okay, never mind. It must have been another time. Never mind. Ignore me. Rewind. We arrived at National Airport that was close to Shirley's home where we settled for a couple of weeks, then prepared for the trip to California and the advanced org to receive the courses. I was still feeling wonderful after grade 5 and could do no wrong. Well, you did. You were doing wrong already. Our intention was to drive to Los Angeles. Of course, I did not have a car. I contacted places where they used people who would drive a stranger's auto. I guess you would just drive someone's car across country for them. This was ideal. All you had to do was locate an office who needed drivers to deliver the car to the West Coast. One office I contacted, I told them I needed a station wagon as I wished the space to accommodate my drums and other belongings to transport to LA. My drums and other cargo. See, that's all he cares about. I got 2 whole cupboards full of drums. I know what to do with them. My drums and other cargo I had left at Shirley's parents' house. The reason we needed an auto with plenty of room. Okay, so while they were away faffing around on the ship, on the Scientology ship, they left all their gear at Shirley's parents' house. Now, I believe she lived in right next door to where George Washington was born. We've got little wall plaques and stuff from that place. Never went there, I don't know. Because we weren't that kind of a family. Having found the proper vehicle, we took off. The delivery was to San Diego, where we headed. We pulled into LA, booked into a motel across the street from the advanced org, where I would receive the courses. The next day, we drove to San Diego, delivered the station wagon, and flew back to LA. The plane fare was $6 each. Can you beat that? No. Oh, my God, can you imagine? Now you have to pay for the air you breathe in that freaking tube, and it's everyone's farts. Now I was ready for grade 6. Now that we had settled into our new digs, this is the grade prior to the clearing course. Okay, I didn't know that. Did you know that? I didn't know that. I was excited to start, never realizing that I was about to experience another fantastic win. Yes, wins, yeah. In those days, there was plenty of able auditors about to find pre-clears, apart from the church who could charge what? Okay. In those days, there were plenty of able auditors around to find pre-clears, apart from the church who could charge a few and donate a percentage to the church. Oh, did they have auditors doing stuff outside of? See, that's squirreling, isn't it? Most of them were involved in helping the pre-clears locate the negative postulate, much like locating your ruin. Oh. Of course, bring in the advanced org. I had it done there. Yeah, why deal with little plebs? I'll just go full hog. It only took a couple of days, and boy, was there a win. Just like grade 5, it blew my head off. Yeah, my dad was always blowing a charge down. And we go, I'm blowing a charge down right now. Like we'd be in the elevator, and he'd think of something, and you could see his whole face changing. I'm blowing charge. I'm like, oh Jesus. Well, can you not do it in here right now? Wait till we get outside to the air. This was just getting better and better, and was overwhelmed at the results. I bet you were. It would not be fair to share this with. Okay, his writing's really bad here. Like, were you drinking? It would not be fair to share this win with another. With other than the examiner and auditor. Okay, it would not be fair to share this win with I don't know what he says there, guys. I'm sorry. I would have to have everyone trying to figure if they had this postulate. What? It only took a couple of days, and boy, was there a win. Just like grade 5, it blew my head off. This was just getting better and better, and was over the results. I would not be fair to share this win with something, the examiner and auditor. I would have to have everyone trying to figure if they had this postulate. What, the negative postulate? Your ruin? Sorry, guys, I'm a bit lost here. It was so powerful, it had me thinking, if this is crazy, and a thought that you were unfortunate enough to dramatize, this is their case. No wonder this planet is nuts. Oh, is this the moment where he okay. So this is the moment where my dad came into agreement with the fact that he believed that everyone on this planet is nuts. And that's how he lived the rest of his life. He would never speak to people, or if he did, he came down to their level and just spoke to them. He would mirror them and just spoke to them, a couple of words. It was all very short and quaint. I wasn't allowed to talk to anyone ever. I wasn't allowed to, just not allowed. So he decided this whole planet was insane. And I guess this is the moment that he made that agreement, because in Scientology, you have to be in agreement with nonsense. Okay, so it blew his head off. He wondered if everyone else had this postulate. And then he realized from all the dramatizing that this planet is nuts. I remember after unloading this cognition, my wife and I were walking along Alvarado Street. I had my arm around Shirley and full of love for her in my excitement. Oh, well, isn't that nice? Sorry. Is my sarcasm just shining through? I had initially signed up for the clearing course and couldn't wait. Couldn't wait to get started. All of a sudden, I ran into a statement and nothing was going right. All of a sudden, I ran into a stalemate and nothing was going right. This was unlike me, as I usually ran pretty fast. Now, what he means by running pretty fast is just chaos, just keeping it all working. He's cause for mess. Everything, he's in charge of the way everything's going. Except for when he got a bill, and he used to hate paying bills. That's when everything just went left for him. He couldn't make anything go right. We had to make sure that bill was paid, and he had to make sure there was a printed copy of, did you pay it already? Just to make sure, so that everything would be going right. He used to get very anxious. That it made him very anxious. Scientology did. I left the org and was walking over to the motel. I stopped in the middle of the street when that little voice in my head started to speak. Boy, you're a dumb shit. He wasn't even nice to himself. Haven't you spotted it yet? You went clear on grade 5. I stood transfixed for a moment, then turned and ran back into the org. Where is the examiner? Now. I went back into auditing room with him and had it handled. Leaving to go back to the motel, I did not walk. I flew across the street. So being clear, becoming clear, is that when you realize everyone else is crazy? That's what becoming clear means to you? That's nice. Now my happy glee was restored, and I prepared for my next action at the Musicians Union. The feeling was nothing could stand in my way, so let's go. Shirley was delighted at my eagerness to advance. Yeah, because funny, apparently she didn't do as much Scientology as he did. He went all the way up the bridge. Apparently Shirley didn't. I did not know this until a couple of years ago. Why didn't Shirley do it? Why didn't Shirley? Oh, well, she didn't have the money for it because he expected her to pay for it herself, of course. He's her husband. But she didn't get up the bridge because we don't need to. I'll do it, and you can just live with me, and we'll just share this life together in Scientology. Ooh, that rhymes. Ooh, write that down. Got to put that in a song. Crying out loud. Still, it's my sarcasm flowing through. I headed for the Musicians Union on Vine Street. The union had a set of rules that had to be followed for you to become a member. New musicians arriving into LA had to register every Monday morning for 3 months. Oh, that's like immigration. You're not allowed to play a steady, for you can play gigs. Wait, you're not allowed to play a steady job, you can play gigs. One time meaning single nights. Oh, okay. I presented my resume to the lady at the desk. Her name, if I'm correct, Betty Cotton. Because he says lady, and it looks like he wrote Billy Cotton. I don't know if it's Billy Cotton or Betty Cotton. Anyone knows who that lady is, please let me know in the comments. That would be great. Oh, it's Billy, I guess. Okay. Looking at me, Billy asked, this resume shows you can play shows? And you also read music? Of course, I replied. I played in the orchestra pit in a theatre in Scotland when I was 18. And I've played plinky since then. Maybe it's a musician's term? Plinky. That sounds good, she replied. There's a band leader downstairs trying out drummers, but having no luck. I could imagine what's going on as the day of the musical drummer. What? I could imagine what's going on as the day of the musical drummer is pace. Well, they're usually hungover. That's why. Sorry, drummers. Rock has created an era of what I call blacksmiths. Like the music is bad. He sounds like little California chick from Ventura. Like the music is bad. My dad didn't like anything from any music from the 60s on. And one day I was playing Pink Floyd in the car and he could see I was really like into it. And he's like, who's this? And I'm like, just Pink Floyd, the best band in the world. He got so mad. He goes, and me, your father, a musician. You think this is music? And I'm like, this is what happens when you don't raise your child. He didn't like that either because I got a bit mouthy towards the end and it was just telling him straight as it was. So rock has created an era of like the music's bad. Well, go downstairs and have a go, said the lady. What about the 3 months? Whatever, I can't read the word. His writing is awful there. Don't worry about that. The rule is a drummer can't be found to fit till they can hire the likes of you. So downstairs I trotted and entered the rehearsal room. There was a gang of blacksmiths already put aside, and I watched another two trying. Of course, the main part of the audition was reading the music, which was a joke. This what was going on since the early 50s. See, my dad, he was born in 1927. He was raised on old-timey music. And anything that happened from 50s, 60s onwards, and because that's when he started Scientology, so that's when like the clock stopped for him. Music had gone by the wayside to be replaced by kindergarten rubbish and resulted in a cabal of music imposters. And he would throw out names of band leaders and people that used to play in the 30s and 40s. And I'm like, I have no idea who these people are, Dad. No clue. The band leader looked in my direction and asked if I was then to audition. Sure, I replied and approached. I could see the leader was at his wit's end, having been there all day wasting his time. I sat down at the drums, picked up the slides. I hope that says slides. When the leader asked me if it was a waste of time handing me a couple of sheets. I had no difficulty reading the stuff, and halfway around the first tune, he stopped the band and announced, okay, that's it. We have a drummer. My delight, apart from being able to play a reed, was backed up by the creative something I displayed. Oh my God, see his tone. He was talking about his tone here. Because I was so high tone and I was just good at this, they hired me. Like sometimes you just go to the right place at the right time. And when you go for a job, you just find the right job because you have the right skills. But he thinks that it's all magic that brought him together with this band leader. I'm just having to, paraphrase that a little bit because just have to add subtext. Because to him, it was all magic. It was all magic that he could create. Oh, look, this fork is here because I brought it into reality. Well, it were made in Sheffield, but okay. You will be playing for singer such and such at the Harris Casino in Lake Tahoe for 3 months. Tomorrow we rehearse with the singer in a studio in Vine Street. Then open next Monday at the casino. Who's the singer, I asked? Johnny Jetson? Johnny Jillitson? Jittitson? I have no idea who he's talking about. He was mostly into country music, but like most of that crowd are creeping over into the rock and roll. When the rock nonsense started, I missed the advent as I was playing in ships orchestras for about 5 years. Right, so as the music evolved and changed, he just listened to the same old crap while he was on ship, going round and round the planet, just listening to the same stuff over and over and over again. Not listening to what was going on out there. The music was changing. As it does, it evolves, as everything else does. I was around the world 6 times by the time I was 23. Lucky me. Yeah, lucky you. Lake Tahoe is a beautiful place, and I enjoyed the change of air from LA. Shirley was coming up on the July 4th weekend and awaited her arrival with a surprise. I had told her as soon as I get the clearing course handled, we could discuss marriage. Wait, they weren't married yet? I thought they were married. How could they be on ship and not be married and have... Oh, see, things were different back then? Okay, so they're not married yet. I don't even know that. See, I don't know what my dad got up to. I had no idea. Marriage was not a surprise as we had agreed to the right time to do it. Huh. See, I'm learning with you guys. Anyway, she arrived and we set up the date to make our association legal. Oh, that's the pictures. On that day, we agreed to a Scientology wedding in the backyard of the Advanced Org. That was 1969. Huh. 1969. That was the year I had my tonsils and adenoids out. And my mom sent him a letter asking him just for a little money so she could buy me a nightgown for the hospital. And he told her to go sell her body to get the money. Now, I know this because my mother's vindictive and she kept that letter until I was grown up and she showed it to me on various occasions. So I know that's what he said to her. So that's why he couldn't send any money for a nightgown for me for the hospital, because he was getting married at the Advanced Org, spending $125 on shit, getting married to this lady who hated me, by the way. I didn't care much for her either, to be honest. Feelings were mutual. Oh, so on that day, they agreed to a Scientology wedding in the backyard of the Advanced Org, 1969. I received a message from Ron, who had been informed by the org that I had completed what I desired, now asked me if I would return to the ship as promised. Ooh. Once again, we set out to return to the ship. The message from Ron advised me that there had been pleasant changes abroad, that there was no longer heavy ethics, which he knew I had always been against. I know, because even when I asked him about overboarding, he didn't exactly... See, he just kind of looked at me and kind of like, I don't want to talk about this, and I didn't like that either. But he never would like expound on it and explain to me what he didn't like about throwing people overboard. Because I'm wondering if he was one of the ones that had to pick people up and throw them overboard. Because he would have. If Ron told him to. He would have. If Ron told him to jump off a cliff, he would have. We were treated like passengers on a cruise ship, and for 2 weeks we just relaxed. Ron advised other officers to leave us alone as he had plans for us. It turned out to be a surprise to both of us, as there was no longer babies aboard. It turned out to be a surprise to both of us, as there were no longer babies aboard. Ron advanced Shirley to be his hostess, who would meet any VIP who came aboard and attend to their needs. Oh, he used her as a honeypot. I mean, she had a hump. She had scoliosis, but she did have a pretty face. She was very basic Becky, though. Awfully basic Becky. My upgrade was to be the operator's officer, which was a secure change. Ron stated, how can I jump from being a drummer to such a responsibility? Don't worry, you'll be fine. We now set out to our new positions and hoped for the best. My domain was now the bridge, and I was still the helmsman on my watch. That's a hard word, guys. I noticed that Ron was not being involved among the crew like he used to, and realized that he was having medical problems. Oh, really? I had always felt compassion for him as he spent most of his time in the ivory tower. Oh, poor guy. All by himself with people bringing him stuff all the time and just ordering people around. Oh, compassion. Wow, Dad, did you? That's so kind of you. I'm glad to know that you had some compassion. Finally, I found that out. You wrote it down. Never saw it. I'm glad you wrote it down. He did not have buddies like most men who could get together for a beer. No, because he just came up with a whole new system of brain rot and put that into place. And everyone wanted a little piece of him. So, of course, he's going to keep himself away in the ivory tower. I took a good look at the bridge wings one day and saw they needed work. The bridge wings are on each side of the bridge itself. They were a mess, a result of weather and badly needed work. So I went down to one of the lockers where I found plenty of paint and varnish. So I set out to make an improvement. I did not have electric sanders, so I just wrapped a block of wood with sandpaper and went to work. Using such a method, I wore my fingernails down to the cuticles, but ahead I went to improve the situation. He was improving the situation, guys. A few days later, I stood back and looked at handiwork. How nice it was. On the bridge wings, how nice it was on the bridge wings. They're a flap about 6 inches high and maybe 5 feet long. That flap had never been raised probably for 50 years. Oh, I thought we didn't like flaps. No flaps, no flunks. At one time it had been removed, and when it was replaced, the small bolt that fitted on the end of the flap did not line up, so it could not be used. Anyway, Ron came to the bridge with the ethics officer and took a look around. There was I looking proud of myself, waiting for a nice commendation from Ron. See, this is why you never should do things for people and expect something in return. He walked over to the faulty bridge flap and attempted to lock the bolt into the flap, which was impossible. He turned to the ethics officer and stated, "Log the operations officer for an inoperable bridge." My heart dropped into my boots when I heard this. I had to bite my tongue to prevent me from letting him have it. My dad wanted to yell at L. Ron Hubbard? Dude, see, he was mouthy. You should expect no less from me. Taking a deep breath, I realized the Scientology creed. Ugh. Oh, he always said this. And he was the one that sought admiration. He just wanted people to love him. That was his postulate, that everyone loved him. Okay. Oh, taking a deep breath, I realized the Scientology creed. Never seek to be admired. Of course, this was one of Ron's games, was to build you up, then get his cookies at your disappointment. Wow. I will read that again. Never seek to be admired. Of course, this was one of Ron's games, was to build you up, then get his cookies at your disappointment. So it was a mindfuck. Basically, that's what he was doing, right? Everybody has to have a game, even Ron. It's called control. That's what it says right here. Because to my dad, everything was a game. Also, life is a game. This planet is a game. Everything's a game. Which at times really pissed me off, because when I tried to talk to him about my abuse, I pulled it in and it was just a game I pulled in. Oh. A few days later, we had a conversation about my past. Were you in the military, Ron asked me. No, sir, I replied. That was a point in my life I would do my best to avoid. Were you having medical problems, he asked. No, no medical problems. My reasons for avoiding such insanity went much deeper, and I began to explain. When I was around 10 years old, I witnessed the results of war and never forgot. Yeah, he was born in 1927. He did go through the war, didn't he? And he saw it right there in plain, right there. He was right there when it happened. There was an office near my home in Glasgow. It was known as the Independent Labour Party, and the pictures they displayed every day in the window of children pulled out of bomb buildings in Madrid were the most sickening to look at as a result of the German bombers who were assisting Franco, the president of Spain. I swore the first time I witnessed such blatant insanity never to have anything to do with the military, and hoped one day to have revenge against these murderers. Oh, okay, Dad. Oh. Yes, said Ron, I can understand your feelings at such destruction of children. But how did you manage to avoid the forces of evil? I was 18 years old when World War II ended, but there was still conscription, and of course I was eligible and knew it. Notices had come to my home address advising me to register for the draft, so I concocted a plea to avoid them. Being a pro musician, they had a hard time finding me because he went off on ship. That's why he didn't want to join the war, so apparently he went off and started playing music on ship. Whew. Anyway, they caught up with me 3 years later when I was 21. I was taken to a building in Glasgow, escorted by an official and a police detective, taken to an office where 4 documents were laid on a desk. I was then advised to sign one of these papers. Army, Navy, Air Force, or what's it, objector? Oh, what's it called? When you refuse to join the oh God, what's the word? I can't remember the word right now. He was an objector. He didn't want to join any of the military. Of course, I refused, knowing they could have to let me go as no crime had been committed. I was then advised that a warrant would be the next step. A few days later, I received the warrant to appear at a court in Glasgow. Entering the courtroom, I was surprised to see 5 judges at the bench, sitting up there with red noses. Well, he's saying they were hungover. That something must have cost a few pence. But that was me, as I always found everything too funny. Oh, did you, Dad? I didn't see you laughing much. One of the so-called judges was a theologist, in case I was going to spout religious excuses for my behavior. I was then told to swear to tell the truth with my right hand on the Bible. I then advised them I had no interest to swear on the Bible and wished to affirm. Swear to tell the truth without the religious book. Don't you believe in the supreme deity? Came the next quotation. In reply, I pointed out it was not him that was in this position. and I'm wherever he is, he would agree okay, so like he said, if God was in my position, he'd be saying the same thing, which is very narcissistic of him. Oh, now the big gun started. Why do you refuse to go into the army? I refuse to be trained to kill. I refuse to be trained to kill. Why do you refuse non-combatant duty? I refuse to assist a killer or tend to his needs. Now I could feel the aggression from the dingbats with my answers. So the results came. You will go to the army. No, I won't. You will go to jail. No, I won't. As I was just as determined as they were to dump their threats. Once again, I was set free as no crime was committed. I was advised that the refusal to go into the army was not the crime, but to refuse the medical examination was the culprit. So once again, I was ordered to a clinic in Glasgow with the official and detective. They went with him and they took him to the medical office. There was no documents to sign. Instead, I was ordered to take off my clothes and submit to the exam. This is how they get you. Oh, sounds like you got regged. Once you take the exam, you're in the army. Or they can put you in jail. My plan was now to somehow join the merchant navy where no killing was involved, but one was never given that choice, as they wanted killers, not waiters. To begin the plan, I picked up a couple of letterheads from any hotel I happened to play in and used them as resumes, that I was an excellent waiter and knew my stuff. Oh my God. I packed a suitcase and left it in a friend's home in somewhere. In Reedness? I don't know where that is. I then worked a plan to get into the merchant navy. If I stick it out for 3 years, it would have been something. I don't know what he says there. My choice of the merchant marine meant that I would know where I was, have much I would receive without any killing. Okay, so basically he didn't believe in drawing a sword through a man. He used to tell this poem, which is very lovely, but he didn't believe in going. He doesn't believe in war. He doesn't believe in insanity, and he doesn't believe in crime. Perfect Scientologist. I now started to put my plan to escape the military into effect. First of all, I gathered info. The best place to find ships where it would be easier to join as a crew member. That happened to be Tilbury Docks in England. Is it Tilbury? I think it's Tilbury. First, I had to get out of Scotland, so I laid out my itinerary. Step 1, train to London, then the subway to Fenchurch Street Station. Train to Tilbury was only about an hour, so off I went. As the train pulled into the dock area, passenger liner was docking. It had just arrived from Australia. I left the train and approached the ship as it was tied up. Walking over to one of the dockers, I asked if the company had an office close by. His reply was, walk up the bow of the ship, which is pointed straight at the Orient Line office. The ship was the Orontes and would sail out again for Australia in 3 weeks. Wow, I thought, it's all falling into place. Entering the building, I was led into an office and intervened by a nice gentleman. After the usual questions were over, the inevitable one came up. Were you in the military? No, sir, I was exempt, having a something job. Doing what, he asked. I had a something job. Doing what, he asked. Working in a pottery, making rum jars for the Navy. That's so rude, because he's just being rude about the Navy being a bunch of alcoholics. So he said that during that he was working for the military making the rum jars. Oh my God, for the Navy. I could feel his confusion if there was such an exemption, so he just let it go. So you could say anything back in the day. We didn't have Google. Boy, I got under the wire again without my bullshit. Oh, no, with my bullshit, sorry. He handed me a form and advised me to report to the Seamen's Federation, the other end of the town. Arriving at the Federation, I presented the document from... Oh, there's still a bit. Oh, I've been going over an hour already. I wonder if I should leave these for another day and go through some questions if you guys have any, or if you're just all talking to each other, hopefully in the chat. That would be great. Oh, so Crypt Pt2, hey! Oh, what's going on here? All right, let me go up. Hello, everyone. Hello. Such an obsession to do a Scientology, that their kids suffer. Yeah. And they don't care because we pulled that in anyway. You know, we're here. We brought ourselves to the planet by our own choice. That's what he believes. So he wouldn't have to ever do anything for me because I'm just here of my own accord. You know, I'm a child and I need parents. I need guidance. I need love. I need hugs. I need safety. You get none of those with a Sciento parent. We can't control how people love us. Only how we love others. Absolutely. That's why you got to be nice to each other because life can be a bit sucky sometimes. Ooh, Windy City Thetan. Did a room raid. Thank you, Windy City. I know I got to get together with you and do stuff. Corn Freak. Hey, love. I got to get together and we're going to do something. Do some Sciento stuff. Yay. Bridge. Hey, Bridge. Nice to see you. Lady E. Miss Sunrise Dawn. Yeah, everyone having a little bit of a chitty chat. Because some of us weren't feeling good, eh? Some people got back home and they were sick. All that traveling and stuff. Oh, Laurie. Hey, Laurie plays. My sis. I really enjoy your accent and all the other ones too. Oh, thank you. Oh, I do a terrible. Oh, my accents are terrible. They really are. And my dad was Scottish. I try. For some reason, my Irish accent is better than my Scottish. And I'm like, I mean, I have a little bit of both, but supposedly more Scottish. Yeah, let's not do the percentages, shall we? Yes. Oh, my God. Tights and pantyhose. Like a man came up with that thought, that idea. Oh, women should have their legs covered by these things, by some plastic wrap. The most horrifying, horrific thing I've ever had to endure growing up on this planet. That is prison planet stuff, tights. So I'm glad those things died off. We don't have to wear them anymore. Just legs out. I just love it. Just skin right out there to the air, letting everyone see all your varicose veins and your moles and stuff. That's how it should be. But yeah, tights were awful. Anytime I worked in offices. I was a clerk a lot, administrative assistant. So I had to wear skirts and shirts and freaking tights, high heels. Oh my God, my feet. Yes, Windy City. Thank you for sending everyone over. I love you guys. Thank you so much. You get pantyhose up and that's it for the rest of the day. Good placement. Before you know it, the crotch was mid. Yeah. What about that? They would just start like pulling down and like you're standing there talking to people and you feel like your crotch is this away from your body, this far away from your body. And all you want to do is like hike everything up. Well, you can't because you're in public. Ugh, freaking tights, the worst. I'm so glad we don't have to wear those anymore. Now we just got leggings and yoga pants. They cover everything up and they make your booty look good, even if you have a flat pancake white lady butt. They work. They work brilliant. Love yoga pants. Love yoga pants. Yeah, trying to pull those things up. Now, of course, I always try to grow my nails too, or my nails are all broken and rigidy because I have autoimmune issues, so my nails don't grow. So I always put a hole in or just pulled a ladder, as my mom would say, in the tights. I always had holes in my tights. And then at the end of the day, you just kind of buy a pair of tights for one day at a time. because I'd wear them, get home, no doubt I had a run in them. So then I would just sit there making holes and tying knots and making art. I would create art out of my broken tights, and then had to go buy more. Such a waste of money. What a horrible invention that was. I'm so glad we've grown out of that. Tights are the worst and not good for your theta. I can only imagine. My aura did not, my root chakra did not appreciate those things. Cheryl, you're exactly what I needed to de-stress today. Love you. Thank you. Likewise. I'm hoping this stupid, crazy content is a break from other stuff, because it's weird and it's Scientology. And I'm learning things as I go along with you guys, because I haven't read this whole thing. I just didn't. I started reading it and I'm like, oh no, I'm just going to do this in a video. Because it's heavy and I don't want to have to sit there crying the whole time. So if I do this with you guys, I keep my tone up. See, you guys are keeping my tone up. So I appreciate you guys all being here listening to this junk. Oh, hubby's got cellulitis. That's very painful. That's very uncomfortable. Hope he feels better, Miss Sunrise Dawn. Ooh. Yeah. My dad worked on the Mauritania. And that was one of the proudest things he did in his life, was working on that ship. And like I said, while he was on that ship, he was an alky, musician, a philanderer. My mom and dad's best man was one of the guys off the ship from the Mauritania. I believe his name was Bob. I don't know who Bob was. So yeah, he was a musician on the Mauritania. So he got to see, my dad grew up during the war, Second World War, and he got to see a lot of horrifying things because it was right there in front of him. He got to see a lot of horrifying things and decided the world was a bad place, as a lot of us would if we grew up like that. Also, his family, he came from a long line of like gang members. His family ran a gang in Glasgow, the Billy Boys. They were always in and out of jail. All his uncles and cousins did marches, orange marches, where they started trouble. They started problems with the Catholics all the time. It was just awful back then. So there was a lot of fighting, a lot of alcohol, a lot of men beating their wives. My granddad, my dad's dad, apparently was an alcoholic who used to beat his wife and kids, both of them. Until one day my auntie, my dad's sister, she was little, she was sick and tired of her dad beating on their mom. So she got a big pan and cracked him over the head with it, knocked him out. Just stories like that. So he grew up in an unloving, unkind, in the tenements of Glasgow, which was real trashy. You know, my nana did her best to keep it nice and clean. It was basically one room they all lived in. And it was gray and dingy and cold. So my nana did her best, but he grew up it wasn't great back then. He saw a lot of horrifying things. So then as a young man, he went on ships, and what did he do? You know, he's got all that trauma. He was drinking a lot, apparently, and just like the rest of his family, because that's what the men did back then. They would just drink and fight. He didn't want to fight, but he did want to drink and play music, so off he ran to do that. So he saw some insanity. He himself experienced, you know, just being kind of a bit of a lowlife, I'm guessing. And he wanted better for himself and for the planet. I just wish he would have found something else instead of Scientology. I don't know, like gardening, stamp collecting, dog breeding, anything else like that. But no, he found Scientology, and he believed it was the perfect. When he explained to me, he's like, Ron found the real truth. Ron found what can get us out of insanity, war, and criminality. And I remember thinking, well, why isn't it everywhere already then? If it's the truth and it works, then why Why isn't it out there? Why are you keeping it to yourself? And you're just sharing nonsense with me. It sounds like a bunch of crap because you're just showing me how you move clouds and how you move the plastic ficus tree. I think it was the air conditioning that did that. It wasn't you. Like, show me something real, Dad. Make me up a freaking postulate a unicorn for me. How's that? Try that. Then I'll believe you. So, yeah, I think I'll leave the rest of the pages for another day. I hope it won't be as long as this last one was because, you know, it's been a bit rough. We went to Minnesota, had a lovely time there, which was a complete and utter distraction from my own grieving. It was lovely being there with Natalie, being able to make her feel better. I leave for 5 minutes and we everyone dropping hosiery. Paul, come back and see what see what the end phenomena is. Mount Vernon. That's it. That's where my stepmom was raised, in a house right next to Mount Vernon, in that area, right where George Washington was born. I would like to go visit that one day. Apparently it's really pretty up there. But we've got some little plaques and stuff in the house. No pictures of her, but places of where she was raised. Hey, Corn. Aw. Oh, now what? Oh, I love that. Pink Floyd, always. Yes, my ukulele. Guess what I did? I bought, of course, because I don't remember the chords and stuff. I bought a book of chords, Pink Floyd songs. I'm going to learn how to ukulele, some Pink Floyd. Oh, the heavens brought two of my favorite things together, a ukulele and Pink Floyd. So hopefully, I'm really bad at it, but I will be attempting to make some music. There are two ladies I spoke with in Minnesota. I shall not name them just yet, but two streamers. They're also going to get themselves ukuleles or already have them. We might start a band, guys. Yeah. That'll be awesome. And it'll be distracting, and it'll be fun, and it'll be silly. And it'll be a really good way for us to release some Scientology oppression. Ooh, what are you guys doing up in Chicago? Okay. 1969 is the year Dusty Soda dispenser. Really? I'm 4 years older than you? See, I am the older sister, huh? Pat, why are you late to these? I'm usually the one that's late. Amber Vanessa. Oh, it was so good meeting you. I just love you, girl. I still want to talk to you. I want us to do a video together if that's okay. Dusty Soda Fountain, you're almost as old as me. Oh my God, Crypt. Wait, what year were you born? Catching up to John. Yep. Oh, to Poe. Doctor Who, Heather. Hey, Heather. Hello, honey. How are you? Been at work? Oh, see, that's the problem. Oh, thank you. Thank you for popping in. I really appreciate it. Cricket Cinema, hey. At least two of us have jobs. Shut up, Dusty. Yeah, but we're having lots of strikes, so they're pulling you off the ramp. So don't tell me you've been working all day. Cricket Cinema, I work in mental health because I wanted to get rich quick. Yep. Conscientious objector. That's the word. That's what my dad was. He went up against these judges and they said, you need to join the army. And he said, no. And they said, why? And he said, because I am a conscientious objector. Thank you, Granny G. Those are the words. That's what he called himself. And they had to let him go. They didn't usually have anyone turning him down. If they didn't pass the medical, they didn't get in. Other than that, everyone at a certain age had to join, were drafted. And my dad was like, no, I'm not helping anyone. I'm not even helping someone kill people. Now, that's a beautiful, noble intention, right? But that's not how wars are finished, Dad. I mean, I get it. I don't know. Do I get it? I don't know. That one's a bit rough. I'm going to play with that one for a bit. Because I wouldn't want to go to war either. I didn't join the military. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I could give him that one. He's a bit of a wuss, and he liked things the way he liked them. And he was very, little Lord Fauntleroy. Oh, I need a napkin. Really? You need a napkin? You can't just, He was he wanted everything to be perfect all the time. And Scientology gave him that framework for his life to make everything perfect. It wasn't. I mean, if you actually came down to reality, it's life. Life is lifing, and life is messy. Doesn't matter who you are, where you are, what's going on. Life's going to mess you up. But to him, it was perfect. Scientology made it all perfect. Except me. I was a degraded being. He called me an SP right here in this house like 2 years ago. You're an SP. I'm like, I'm a superb person. I'm a special person. I started just telling him all these S words that I was. That pissed him off. Yeah, it was a bit rough having a dead Scientologist. Getting over a little COVID. Oh, Nance, you got the COVID. Oh, no. Okay, sending you some good juju. Ooh, good juju. Hope your boobies get better, sis. That's awful. Yeah, it's going around again, isn't it? I hope you feel better soon, because drink lots of water. Just make sure, and it's a little salt and water. Oh, my God, that's so Scientology. That's what my cousin would do. Himalayan salt and water. And colloidal silver. That's very Scientology too. Maybe for all the Lyme disease they have, it's cancer, but they think it's all Lyme disease because a crappy doctor from Turner Street told them that. Yep. Everyone is getting it. I hope you get over it soon. My wife and I were sick for a couple of weeks. UT is with COVID. What, Utah? You're in Utah? We got over it a couple of weeks ago, but our lungs are buggered. Yeah, see? It's rough on the lungs, isn't it? I think even Lori, it's been weeks since she's been clear from it, but she still sounds just a little chesty still. Nora was sick too, and a couple others. I'm not sure if they got tested. Juanita, I was with the one. Yep, no, I didn't get anything. I just came home and was tired, which is unusual. But, yeah, no, I didn't catch anything. I guess I'm lucky. I haven't caught it yet. I've been locked in the house with a Scientologist until this year, since the pandemic. I came in the middle of the pandemic, and I didn't really leave the house until April this year. Well, January, because that's when my dad started going into hospital. This is the first year I've actually left the house and seen stuff out there. That's why I've been traveling so much. It's nice to get out. But no, I haven't caught the couve yet. Yeah, there are so many variants. It just depends which one you get, and it depends your immune system. Now, I've got a crappy immune system. I have autoimmune illness. So I always have to keep checking myself and make sure I'm hydrated at all times because the pain level. I almost died in 2020. My daughter tested positive with 0 symptoms, resting complete. Seeing that, it's just weird. Like, it hits some people and it doesn't hit the others. It's so trippy. It's such a weird, this one's weird. It's like from a bad movie, this one, isn't it? My dad didn't believe it. He didn't believe in COVID. And he was really upset that everyone was talking about this thing. You just have to not believe it. I'm not going to catch it. And he didn't. Now, I did get him vaccinated. He didn't want to get vaccinated. But he kept saying, well, I want to go to Scotland. I want to go to Scotland. And I'm like, well, if you want to go to Scotland, you got to get the vaccination because they won't let you in without it. So we had to go get the vaccination. So we went and got him the 2 vaccinated. And after that, he's like, I'm not getting any more. Okay, you don't need to. So you're good now. But he didn't want to go back for the extras for the boosters and stuff, which is fine. I was just surprised a man of his age at 94 was still here, actually. But yeah, nothing could take him out. Nothing, because he postulated he was perfect and everything around him was perfect. And his postulates just kept him going until his body actually just gave in. And I had to wipe it all up. My grandfather avoided World War II somehow, but we have no idea why. Well, lucky. But see, and back then it wasn't as easy as, oh, you've got some bone spurs. No. You had to have something kind of major with you for you not to join. They would just throw you in there. Back then, we need you. Get your bloody uniform on and get to work. Those were the days. I'm on Paxlovid. Oh, Nancy's taking Paxlovid. Okay. Is it helping? It's supposed to help. It's supposed to help kind of clear it up quicker. Scottish COVID is the weirdest one I've had. Laurie plays. Oh, I'm sorry that you got it. But she got the Scottish kind. I mean, if you're going to get, you go to Scotland, you get little fridge magnets and a bagpipe, and then you bring home COVID. And she got the Scottish kind, which is apparently, it's quite strong on the lungs there. It's quite powerful on the lungs. So you can blow into your bagpipe. So good to see. Your father's memories are so interesting, very revealing, and highlights the power of indoctrination, doesn't it? I mean, it's just telling me, because I can read his madness in there, because I understand how he thought, how they believe, and like this is how they believe from the beginning. So Scientology hasn't changed really that much. David Miscavige has squirreled a bunch, but it really hasn't changed that much as far as how they keep you locked in your little prison mind. Thanks for all the subscription drive last weekend. I have a list of about 99 SPTV channels with 1,000 or less subscribers on my community page. Please support them, everyone. Yes. Hey, guys. Yes. Cricket Cinema. Anyone, if you're not subscribed to Cricket Cinema right now, please go over there and then go on the community page. Is it? And please support everyone, especially the smaller channels. LA in Toronto. LA in TO. That's one I'd like to throw out there. Of course, Nancy Drew. Who else? I don't know. Dusty Farrell. Dusty Soda Dispenser. He is feral, trust me. Pantyhose yeast infection. Right? Now, I never got those, but all of my a lot of my friends, they all had this going on, and it was these pantyhose, because you got plastic covering your kuka all day, and when it gets warm and moist, things grow with human bodies, and a lot of girls suffered a lot wearing pantyhose. Oh yeah, I could. Oh, awful. Okay, if that's you. Oh no, it's not. Oh, shoot. That's the lawyer. Oh, dear. I'm going to have to go, you guys. So, I really love yoga pants. Well, I can't wait to see you wearing them. I bet you look darling in them. No, that crap with stockings didn't just happen to you, sis. It's, oh, look, your wrenchy wrench. It's working, huh? Cool. Okay, cool. I've finally got a mod, you guys. Jersey Jan is my mod spectacular. Everyone, please send Jersey Jan lots of love. She's the most amazing human. I met her. I hugged her. And she's my mod now. I have a mod. I was actually looking last night into how I could get some haggis here. Why? Oh, shoot. Okay. What was your dad's name? Okay, my dad's name was Samuel Fullerton. Fullerton. I've asked various people to if they remember him, people that were on ship back then, and they're like, nope. I go, do you remember an angry Scottish guy? And no one does. So I don't know. He was on and off. He was in and out, but he was very much around in the 60s with Ron, as we're finding out. And this is why he loved the tech so, because he loved the man so. He would speak highly of LRH. Never heard him say a kind word about me to anyone ever. Sad though, but you know, I think a lot of straight men really appreciate yoga pants, right? They do hide a lot of inconsistencies, let's put it that way, and they make things look good. The badonkadonks. The amount of money spent on pantyhose is appalling, right? The amount I could have gone on vacation 5 times over from the amount of money I spent on pantyhose. And pantyhose here in America was that nasty, shiny, thick stuff. At least in England, you could go to Marks and Spencer's and get a 10 denier, which was thin, was fine and delicate, and it was like not so oppressive. The stuff here was like, it was like wearing a freaking crazy jacket on your legs, and shiny. I don't know what was the whole shiny thing. At least you could get matte in England. You didn't always have to have shiny legs. So you could get matte tendenia, black. Always keep clear fingernail polish around if you wear pantyhose. Yep, that was the only way to stop them from running. But I don't know. I was a beast wearing pantyhose. My pantyhose always had holes in them. I always looked like I was just getting pulled out of a bush or something with all the holes in my pantyhose. Awful. Yeah, and then when the nail polish hit your skin and you have to rip that stuff off. Yeah, because now the pantyhose stuck to your skin. That happened a lot. I just found a photo of your family, Billy Fullerton. Yep, no, I know you will. There's a book. There's a couple of books written about him. There's pictures of him. There's a Wikipedia page on Billy Fullerton from the Billy Boys. What's that brilliant show where it's the gangs of Manchester or the gangs of Birmingham? Season 5 is about the Billy Boys. Now, they don't mention Billy Fullerton per se, but they do mention the gang, the Billy Boys. And with these gangs, he used to go over to Ireland and do orange marches up and down Northern Ireland and cause troubles with the Catholic. That's my family. They used to purposely go and cause trouble. Oh, I guess it's in my DNA. Now, I don't cause trouble. I'm nice. I'm a good squirrel. Anyway, I do think I have to go, people, because I've got adulting to do. I will finish reading my father's writings another day. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for listening to my craziness and my bad ukulele playing. And I really hope you're all so lovely to each other, because it's hard out there, guys. Let's be nice to each other. You never know what everyone's going through. I love you.